Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome to all the devotees for this exclusive question answer session. I already have some questions. You can post more questions on the live chat. Here's the first question for today. Why did Dronacharya ask Ekalavya to give his thumb as Guru Dakshina? Is it to show the importance of surrendering to Guru, or is it because Ekalavya was violating social order? Actually, Ekalavya was not a proper qualified person to have that skill of shooting arrows. If a wrong person has got some skill, he can misuse it. It is just like it is said in the scriptures itself. Shudras are not taught the Vedas. Why? That's because the Shudras don't have the intelligence to properly utilize the Vedic knowledge and use it for everyone's welfare, good. They may misuse it for some bad purposes or wrong purposes. It is just like somebody is a terrorist. He should not have weapons because he will misuse it like that. So, Ekalavya was not actually qualified to have the skill of shooting arrows. So, by asking him to give his thumb as Guru Dakshina, Dronacharya actually cut down his ability to use that skill, because the thumb is very important in actually shooting using a bow and arrow. So that way he curtailed his usage for the social good, for the good of everyone else. That's the reason. Next question. It is said that by passing through Vaikuntha Dwara, one can attain Vaikuntha. Where can we find the source of the statement? This is said in one of the Puranas. Now, the significance of Vaikuntha Ekadashi, the day on which this festival is celebrated, especially in Vishnu temples, that one can pass through Vaikuntha Dwara, that is to remind us that our destination should be Vaikuntha after quitting this body. And to make our destination as Vaikuntha is the correct goal of life. Otherwise, people either they do not have a goal of life in the sense that when we quit this body, which we are forced to do at the time of death, then where do I go? That people do not even know that they are spirit, soul, and they are eternal. That itself they do not know. So this is a particular important point, that you understand. Attaining Vaikuntha means you understand I'm spirit, soul. I don't die at the time of death. I change body. So if I prepare myself, I can get a spiritual body, and in that spiritual body I can attain Vaikuntha Loka for eternal life full of bliss and knowledge. That is awaiting us. If we want to go there, if we understand the importance of practicing bhakti in order to go there, then we can certainly go there. So, merely doing a ritual of passing through Vaikuntha Dwara is not enough. Passing through Vaikuntha Dwara is to remind ourselves that we should prepare our consciousness by purifying it of all material contamination. So, the Supreme Lord is very eager to take us back to his personal abode called Vaikuntha. And he wants us to qualify. Qualify in what sense? Due to long association with this material nature, our consciousness has become polluted by material desires, by material reactions, by material contamination. So to purify this is essential. As long as we have material contamination or material desires, we have to keep taking birth in this material world, because those desires can be fulfilled only in this material world. Material contamination is not permitted in the spiritual world. Spiritual world, everything is spiritual. The Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. His abode is completely spiritual. The devotees are completely spiritually situated. So everything is spiritual there. Nothing is material. So therefore, we have to prepare ourselves. And anyway, that is our original position. As spirit soul, we belong to the spiritual world. We have a relationship with the Supreme Lord in his personal abode. And he is our maintainer, he is our protector, he is our well-wisher, he is our everything in the spiritual world. But then if we remain with these material desires or material comforts or material aspirations, then we cannot leave this world and go away. Not possible. So please remember, this going through Vaikuntha Dwara is to remind us that prepare yourself before death comes. Become Krishna conscious and be ready to go to the abode of the Supreme Lord, Vaikuntha. Next question. In the introduction to Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srila Prabhupada says, if one remembers the form of Krishna at a time of death, he can approach the spiritual kingdom. What is this form and how to remember? Okay. The form of Krishna, Krishna is present in several different forms. The easiest way to understand form of Krishna is the form of the deity of Krishna, Krishna Vigraha, Archa Vigraha. You go to any temple of Krishna, there is the Krishna deity, deity, Vigraha. So that is one form of Krishna, a particular deity in a particular temple. So remembering that form, how do you remember that form? When you go to the temple, you completely concentrate your attention on the form of Krishna as the deity and get the impression in your heart. And carry that impression with you even after you leave the temple and go away to your home or office. And remember that form and pray and hear the glories of Krishna from the Bhagavatam. Learn the instructions of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. All this you connect with that remembrance of the form of Krishna. Krishna is my supreme well-wisher. Krishna is my maintainer. Krishna is my beloved Lord. Krishna is the ultimate source of everything. Krishna is full of all unlimited good qualities. Like this, thinking of Krishna, talking about Krishna, remembering Krishna's form within the heart, and hearing about Krishna, taking Krishna prasadam, worshipping the deity of Krishna or picture of the deity of Krishna, all this actually prepares us to approach the spiritual kingdom. But remembering at the time of death is made possible by the mercy of the Supreme Lord who is situated in our heart. If we endeavor to try to remember while we are in this material world doing so many different activities, simultaneously we try to remember Krishna, practice remembering him constantly, then Krishna will give us remembrance of him at the time of death and take us back to God. Next question. In the third canto, when Lord Brahma offers his prayers to Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, did he offer the prayers before the material creation or after the creation? Now, the material creation, it's a long process. It begins with the Supreme Lord incarnating in this material world, in the material energy. The Lord enters as the first Vishnu form from the spiritual world who descends into this material energy. So that is called Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, also called Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu first appears, enters the material energy, which is lying in a dormant condition, unmanifest condition. That means at that time there are no universes. Previously destruction took place and there was only the material energy. So that energy, first of all, Mahavishnu enters. Then Mahavishnu agitates that energy and the energy becomes activated by Mahavishnu's glance. And then after Mahavishnu's glance, first of all, the agitation produces mahatma. And mahatma differentiates into the elements. And those elements are combined to form varieties of material objects, material planets. And then from there is one expansion of this Mahavishnu called Padmanabha Vishnu or Garbhodakasayi Vishnu. So that Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, from his navel one lotus flower is born. On that Brahma is created by Vishnu. And Brahma, after his creation, he doesn't know who he is, he doesn't know where he is, he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. So he began searching out for his source and he begins contemplation. Who am I? Where have I come from? What am I supposed to do? Etc. etc. So then Lord Vishnu actually, who's seated in the heart of Brahma, he enlightens Brahma, gives knowledge to Brahma. And Brahma then understands that he is to do the secondary creation. What is secondary creation? The primary creation is the creation of the ingredients for the creation. That is all the elements, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, sense objects, everything is the elements. That is done by Mahavishnu through agitation of the material energy. Then Brahma, birth of Brahma is done by Garbhodakasayi Vishnu. Then Brahma is given knowledge and enlightenment by Vishnu. Then Brahma can create the living entities, the bodies. Living entities means the bodies. He can give the bodies for the living entities by bringing forth the different varieties of the species. So that supposed to do, to give the bodies to the living entities or helping them take birth in this material world. So that is the work of creation of Brahma. So after Brahma is born, and already Vishnu has done the work of creation up to the point of generating the elements, then Brahma actually does the further work of creation of generating the living beings with their proper bodies in the different planets that take birth according to their past karma. That is work of Brahma, to generate the living entities. So before he can actually generate the living entities, he offers prayers to Vishnu that he may not become entangled, that he feels sorry for the living beings, that he has to be responsible for giving them bodies through which they will no doubt get some enjoyment, but they'll also have to suffer so many miseries. So he feels very sorry for them. And he also sees their condition is going to be like they're born in, when they're born, they're ignorant. And foolishly, they become busy with material enjoyment and they remain in ignorance. And after death, again and again, they keep taking birth, but at the time of dissolution of the whole universe, they again are helplessly absorbed in the material energy. And they remain dormant like that for millions and billions of years. And again, they come out, again, they're busy with material enjoyment. So they can remain in this cycle unless they're rescued by a pure devotee or the Lord himself. So therefore, the prayers offered by Brahma is after the initial phase of different phases of the creation are done by the two Vishnus, and then Brahma's work has to begin of generating the living beings. Living beings that given the material body. That is the work of creation of Brahma. And that happened before he has to do that, he offers nice prayers to Lord Vishnu. Next question. In Bhagavad Gita 10.8 purport, second last para, it is mentioned the patriarchs Shiva and others. Let me open that 10.8. Yeah, are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded on me so much. Kindly explain how Lord Shiva, being a pure devotee, cannot know that he was created by the Supreme Lord. Now, Krishna is the ultimate source of everyone and everything. That's explained in all the scriptures, including Bhagavad Gita and the Vedanta Sutra and the Srimad Bhagavatam, everywhere. Okay. Now, when Shiva appears at a certain stage of the creation process, now Shiva appears either as the son of Brahma, or he appears as the generated personality from Garbhodakasayi Vishnu. In either case, Shiva is not aware that he is part of a process of creation initiated by the Supreme Lord only, that he does not know. So, as a pure devotee, Shiva is actually situated in pure devotional service, therefore is always enlightened as a pure devotee. But when he plays the role of a devata, then his knowledge is limited, his powers are limited, his specific duty as the devata is also well defined. He has certain limited amount of power, which he can exercise as a devata, like that. So, how is it that Lord Shiva, being a pure devotee, cannot know he is greater than the Supreme Lord? In his role as a devata. He plays the role of a devata. Because he is a pure devotee, to assist the Supreme Lord, he is ready to do any seva. So one of the services he does is, he plays the part of a devata. And many different forms of Shiva are there in this material world as devata. Many forms. The Rudra forms. There are 11 incarnations or forms of Rudra for different functions, different purposes in this material world. Material world is a very complex, huge manifestation. So the forms of the Rudras are actually forms of Shiva only. So that way Shiva is actually playing the part of a devata. And as a devata, he does not know everything, all details about who is Krishna, what are the powers of Krishna, how Krishna is the source, Krishna is the ultimate controller. He does not know. Next question. Why are personalities other than Vishnu addressed as Bhagavan in Srimad Bhagavatam? Now, Bhagavan, the word Bhagavan, originally applies only to the Supreme Lord Vishnu and his expansions, Krishna, Rama, Narasimha, etc. Now, Bhagavan can also be used for a person who is exceptionally powerful in the material world. And therefore, Shiva is addressed as Bhagavan sometimes. Sometimes great devotees are addressed as Bhagavan. That is because of their extraordinary qualities, extraordinary service they have to render. Like Narada, he is empowered to preach devotional service in the entire universe. He travels freely and he tries to preach, but most people are not interested in devotional service. So he will not always have a opportunity or a favorable situation to preach, but he keeps searching for somebody who may be interested in the whole universe. He travels, and whoever shows interest, he preaches to them, makes them first-class devotee. Example is Prahlad Maharaj, example of Dhruva Maharaj. So many examples there in the Bhagavatam. So such great personalities as Narada, Shiva, pure devotee, they are also addressed as Bhagavan, indicating that they are extraordinarily empowered or very, very powerful due to their being confidential servants of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they are also addressed as Bhagavan. That means extraordinarily powerful, extraordinarily empowered by the Supreme Lord. Next question. What were the teachings of Lord Buddha apart from non-violence? Did he teach any meditation process? Yes, Buddha taught a meditation process. Where do the present Buddhists get their teachings if they were not shared originally with Lord Buddha? No, Lord Buddha has taught a lot of things for the Buddhists who follow. A lot of things he has taught. He has taught a meditation process, he has taught a worship process, he has taught a philosophy of life for those who are followers of the Buddhist scriptures. He's taught everything they require. He's taught everything they require. Next question. Lord Kalki will appear at the conjunction of the two yugas. What does conjunction mean? Conjunction means the junction. Sandhya, it's called Yuga Sandhya. Just like in the evening, after the sun sets, still there is some light before it becomes fully dark. So before the night begins, or before the day ends completely, there is one period where the sun is set, but it is not fully dark. So this short period, about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, is called the Sayam Sandhya. It's called dusk or twilight. So that day is coming to an end, night is beginning. Same thing happens, similar thing happens in the morning. When the sun, before it rises, there is already some light on the horizon, eastern horizon. So that is, the night is ending and the day is beginning. But it is not like night is over, day has begun. No, it's not like that. There is a overlap period. So that overlap period is called conjunction of the day and night, or night and day. Early morning it's night and day, and evening it is conjunction of the day and night. Similarly, the Dwapar Yuga is going to end and Kali Yuga is going to begin. But when Dwapar Yuga ends, there is some symptoms by which we can understand Dwapar Yuga is coming to a close, and Kali Yuga symptoms start appearing gradually. So that certain number of years is called the Yuga Sandhya, or the conjunction of the two yugas. One is ending, other one is beginning. That's a conjunction. So there's little overlap sometime. Next question. It is mentioned at the end of the chapters that we will get some fruits by reading the chapter. How to understand these statements? Now, Falashruti, by hearing or reading or studying the Bhagavatam, for every episode that Bhagavatam described, there is some phala or fruits that is mentioned there. Now, Bhagavatam is completely transcendental literature. So, by studying Bhagavatam or hearing Bhagavatam or reading Bhagavatam or distributing Bhagavatam either as a book or as the knowledge itself, all this will give us devotional service, pure devotional service. But if somebody wants something else other than devotional service, some material benefit or some mystic power or some liberation from material bondage and merging into the Brahma Jyoti, anybody wants any of these, they can get that also without separate endeavor. They can get it, provided those are not pure devotees. They engage in some worship of the Supreme Lord, or they engage in some bhakti for some material gain, or for attaining liberation, for attaining for getting some mystic powers. But that's not the real goal of performing devotional service or following some devotional principles. The real goal is to actually become situated in pure devotional service. That's the real goal. So that goal or that benefit is always there for those who don't have desire for material enjoyment, those who don't have desire for material prosperity. For them, only for them it is there. That is the goal. Next question. Why were big yajnas like Rajasuya-yajna performed? Are the goals of all yajnas the same or different? Now, yajna ultimately means to satisfy Vishnu or to please Vishnu, who is also called the chief beneficiary of the sacrificial offerings. So, to please Vishnu or to satisfy Vishnu, one has to perform sacrifice. Now, the goal of sacrifice again is ultimate liberation by transferring ourselves to the spiritual kingdom of God in a relationship with Him. That is the whole program. So, Rajasuya-yajna, now each of these yajnas have a common goal of pleasing Vishnu, but there is also another subsidiary goal or benefit or fruit or result. So Rajasuya-yajna is done by an emperor of this world in order to declare his sovereignty, his complete ruling over all the small provinces or all the states or all the regions like that. And Yudhishthira performed Rajasuya-yajna not because he wanted to enjoy royal opulence or any respect from others, but because he wanted to show respect to Krishna. He wanted to glorify Krishna. He wanted Krishna to be recognized as the most important person in that assembly in which so many devotees were invited, so many rishis were invited, so many great personalities of Krishna's time were invited. So all of them, he wanted to hear Krishna's glories. He wanted to proclaim the unique position of Krishna as the greatest supreme personality of God. Therefore, he performed a Rajasuya-yajna. So the common goal for all yajnas is pleasing Vishnu, by which we develop our bhakti for Vishnu, Vishnu bhakti. Next question. What are the other ways of purification of self besides chanting Hare Krishna? In Bhakti Yoga itself, there are many different practices for purification of self. Just like taking prasadam, Krishna prasadam, it's also purifying the self. Hearing Bhagavad Gita, hearing Bhagavatam, hearing the scriptures, reading the scriptures, this also is purification of the self, meant for the same thing. So all prescribed activities in devotional service or Bhakti Yoga are all methods of purification of the self only. Next question. Is the Rudra sampradaya still existing? The answer is yes. As we do not see them active as compared to other sampradayas. No. Rudra sampradaya is active among the followers of Vallabhacharya. In Gujarat and Rajasthan and Vrindavan, there are many, many, many followers of Vallabhacharya. So Vallabhacharya had appeared in that Rudra sampradaya only, Vaishnava sampradaya. So they are very, very active even now, not that they are not active. Next question. How is it that a Mahatma referred to in Gita is situated in the spiritual world, though living on earth? Now, Mahatma means pure devotee, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya. Sadhu, Mahatma. Mahatma anastu mam partha daivim prakriti mashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso. So that is the description of the Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 13th verse. So even though Mahatma is situated in the spiritual world, he lives on the earth planet. Now, for a pure devotee, wherever the pure devotee is situated, doesn't matter. He is always with Krishna through his consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So that is how a devotee is always in touch with Krishna, is always a devotee of Krishna, like that. Now, the pure devotees, they're always in the spiritual world, but they also take birth in the material world, or they appear with the Lord in the material world when the Lord appears. Just like Krishna, when he comes here, he doesn't leave the spiritual world and come away. No, the spiritual world is never vacant of Krishna. Krishna is eternally there. But he also appears in this material. He also appears. Similarly, pure devotees also, they are engaged in their eternal service to the Supreme Lord Krishna in his Krishna's personal abode. But Krishna desires to deliver the conditions also. The pure devotees also appear and assist in the mission of the Supreme Lord or the mission of his pure devotees. And in that way, by assisting in those actions, one is actually preparing oneself to go back to Godhead. Next question. How do I know that my faith in Krishna is strong and firm? Your faith is tested when in adverse conditions, you still are able to continue with your devotional services. So that is the test of faith or test of advancement. If you are still not advanced, then you have to practice more the preliminary basics and become more and more purified. Next question. I wanted to study the scriptures like Gita, Bhagavatam scrutinizingly for 8 hours a day under guidance of experienced devotees, and also follow sadhana from 4 to 9 a.m. as prescribed. Are there any such opportunities? Now, devotional service begins with a small beginning like chanting 108 times Hare Krishna mantra every day. It takes about 10 minutes in the beginning. And after you become practiced, you can chant in 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes or 7 minutes like that. So make a small beginning and keep on doing that regularly every day on a daily basis, and gradually introduce more and more and more practices one by one. Yeah. Under the guidance of the devotees of Srila Prabhupada, it is possible for anybody to learn the basics and actually become fixed up in devotional service through such practices. And eventually, as you become more practiced, accustomed to do some service, and you keep on increasing the service. Instead of just chanting 1 round, somebody will be told, why don't you chant 2 rounds, chant 4 rounds, chant 16 rounds. So then you require more time to chant 16 rounds as compared to chanting 1 round. So therefore, the devotional service is gradually, in a steady manner, by practicing, gradually increased more and more. So you associate with devotees and you begin the practice and increase the time you spend on spiritual life more and more, and reduce the material time. Otherwise, all time will go away and you'll not be able to properly devote time for doing more and more devotional service. Next question. Is it possible to know the reasons why Lord Krishna bestows his mercy on some people and not on others? The reality of the truth is Krishna bestows mercy on everyone. It is that some people are not taking that mercy or are not ready to receive that mercy. You see, that is the truth. It's like devotees tell so many people, chant Hare Krishna. Now this chanting Hare Krishna means receiving the blessings and mercy of Krishna through holy name. That's what it means. But not everybody will accept it. Not everybody will follow it. They accept sometimes. So that is the difference. Because Krishna is equal to everybody. Krishna is fair to everyone. Krishna wants everyone to become a devotee. So therefore, we cannot blame Krishna, or we should not think that Krishna is partial to devotees. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshu asti na priya. So Krishna is equal to everyone. For him, there is no distinction between bodies or between one person and another. No, he doesn't make distinction. So if you feel that you are not getting Krishna's mercy enough, then you should understand that you have to become eligible to receive the mercy. It's available. Plenty of mercy is available. But are you ready to receive that mercy? Are you prepared to receive that mercy? Next question. Sometimes we see people quoting the pastimes of Lord Vishnu where he came under the influence of someone's curse or he gets defeated by someone else. What should we do in such cases? Vishnu is engaged in pastimes which we cannot always appreciate simply by hearing the events. It is just like Rama was in the forest. Rama is the Supreme Lord only. He was in the forest with Sita Devi and Ravana kidnapped Sita Devi. Now, and after that Rama is lamenting, Sita, where are you? Where are you? I am missing you. I cannot live without you. He's crying and he is lamenting. Why did I lose Sita? How could I have lost Sita? Like that. So it looks like he is an ordinary person. But we know that from the proper authorities we hear that the Supreme Lord, when he comes and plays the part of the Supreme Lord himself in some incarnation or as a devotee or something like that, it is just a pastime for the sake of some function or some mission he has got in this material world. For that purpose he comes. So we cannot always detect that or always find that out on our own. It's not possible. So all actions of Vishnu are transcendental. They are not under the modes of material nature. And whether he gets apparently defeated or he wins, there is no difference between victory and defeat or success and unsuccessful. Nothing like that. No, the duality is there in Vishnu. So therefore, Vishnu, whatever he does, it is good and all auspicious for everyone. And he sometimes in the past times he appears to be depressed or dejected, or he gets defeated, or he is perplexed. All these are misleading. They are meant for misleading the atheists to think that Krishna is ordinary person or Rama is ordinary person. But when actual fight takes place between Rama and Ravana, then the way effortlessly Rama killed Ravana, killed means delivered, and that nobody can understand. Nobody can understand. So the Lord is to be understood only through the authentic scriptures, through the descriptions of the pure devotees, and the statements of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, when Lord reveals himself, what are his activities like, what are his characteristics, what is his form like, everything he reveals in the scriptures. Hear that. That way we become enlightened about God more and more. How much time does it take for the living entity to get the next body after quitting the present body? Is there a standard process or differs from each jiva or for each jiva? Okay. Generally, when we quit the body, we immediately get the next body. But in the case where somebody has been sinful, then such a person is taken to Yamaraj by the Yamadutas, where Yamaraj's court, the person is tried and is given a punishment, and then only the next body. So after punishment, the next body, that is where Yamaraj comes in. If somebody is not been sinful, has been leading a pious life, or has been a devotee, then they are not under the, particularly those are devotees, they are not under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. They are not under the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. So such devotees, they either they go back to Godhead if they are fully Krishna conscious at the end of this life, or if they're not fully Krishna conscious, then they get another chance to continue their devotional service till perfection. And that's the mercy of the Supreme Lord on such devotees. So for those who are sinful, they are taken to Yamaraj, and in Yama Raj's court, they are tried, and then they are punished. And that punishment they have to suffer in one yatana sharira. They are given a special body for getting the punishment, experience of the pain, experience of the suffering. And then after that, they get the next body. But all through Paramatma is always with them. As long as we are in the material world, Paramatma is with us. Next question. Can you please explain the importance of paying obeisance to Vaishnavas and Krishna? Paying obeisances is a practice of sadhana bhakti because we have a false ego, because of which we think we are great, or we are the Lord or the boss or the master. But the process of bhakti is to become humble and to take a subordinate position, definitely subordinate to the Lord, and not only subordinate to the Lord, but subordinate to the Lord's pure devotees. So that is definitely required in order to progress in Krishna consciousness. So by paying obeisances to Vaishnavas and Krishna, you make spiritual advancement, you become humble, and you get the blessings of the Vaishnavas, you get blessings of Krishna. And very quickly you will make advancement in Krishna consciousness. Your advancement is accelerated. Every type of devotional service you practice, your progress is accelerated. So that is the benefit of following these practices as instructed in the authentic scriptures, as taught by the bona fide spiritual master. You will follow that. Were all Bharata mentioned in Bhagavatam pure devotees? No. Which one of them ruled the world and was a pure devotee? The son of Rishabdev, he was a pure devotee. He was called Bharat Maharaj. And he was a pure devotee who was ruling the world. After him, the world was named Bharatavarsha. Next question. We see that Modi ji is developing many places like Varanasi, Somnath. In Gujarat, main Dwarka temple or place of Krishna not being renovated. Is this observation correct? No, this observation is not correct, because in Vrindavan, lot of work is happening to improve the dilapidated condition of so many temples. And also in Jagannath Puri, so much of renovation and improvement is happening in the Jagannath temple, one of the most important Vaishnava kshetras. Lot of work is happening. So it's not true that only some places, it appears the way you're asking, as if only places connected to Shiva are being taken up and Krishna's temples are neglected. That's not true. It's not true at all. That's not correct. Even the temples of Krishna are being taken up for improvement and renovation in a big way. Jagannath Puri, very, very big work is going on. I was there in Jagannath Puri about 2 weeks back and saw so much of work is happening. Lot of work is happening. It's going to be totally different in another 1 or 1.5 years. Lot of work is happening. Next question. Is it correct to think that the only way to properly understand complex spiritual matters is by giving up this material body and acquiring the spiritual body? No, actually, nothing is complex in spiritual subject matter. It is just that it has to be properly explained by a self-realized person. Just like Prabhupada explains. Everything he explains very, very simple words and very clearly. Nothing which Prabhupada has written is complex or difficult to understand. That is one thing. Second thing is, we have to actually prepare our consciousness to receive this knowledge without any misconceptions about ourselves or misconceptions about Krishna. So to clear the heart of these misconceptions is also a part of preparing oneself to properly receive this transcendental knowledge. If I think I'm the body, if my goal in life is some material sense gratification, many of these things will not make sense to me, even though it is written in a simple way. Like Prabhupada and Krishna and Shukadeva Goswami, all them explain, you are not the body, you are spirit soul. So somebody who is materialistic, you think, what is the spirit soul? I don't agree. I think I'm the body. There's nothing beyond the body. Like that, they will argue, they will differ in their opinion, or they will think somebody else is in ignorance, or they're having their own concoction. So many wrong ways they can actually interpret something and either think it is very complex and not bother about understanding what is nicely explained. So the correct way to understand spiritual subject matter is to prepare oneself by purification of the heart. What is this purification? To clear away the misconceptions which we have developed by long association with this material nature. By long association, we have developed so many misconceptions. So that can all be cleared away. You chant Hare Krishna, you hear the holy name, you understand what Prabhupada is explaining with a sober mind, then it's possible. And gradually you begin to build your foundation, build on a good foundation of understanding the basics from the Bhagavad Gita. Then you proceed to the Bhagavatam, then to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything can be understood. And also, Krishna is revealing within the heart for a sincere soul who has developed the eagerness to know Krishna, to learn about Krishna, to hear about Krishna, developed a taste and attraction for Krishna, hearing about Krishna. Krishna reveals. Next question. Who is Shukadev Goswami and Suta Goswami? I keep getting confused about both of them. Okay. Shukadev Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva. Shukadev Goswami was taught the Bhagavatam by Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva composed or compiled the Bhagavatam. Shukadev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Now, in that assembly where Shukadev Goswami was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, there were many other saintly persons. So there was this other saintly person called Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami is the son of one Romaharshana Suta. This Suta Goswami is also called Ugrashrava Suta. He heard the Bhagavatam when Shukadev Goswami was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Later on, Suta Goswami was requested by some sages in Naimisharanya, kindly tell us about Krishna. So Suta Goswami said, if you are interested in hearing about Krishna, I shall narrate to you the Srimad Bhagavatam, which I heard from Shukadev Goswami when he was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So that Suta Goswami, he is narrating or repeating the Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. He is the son of Romaharshana Suta. Romaharshana Suta was the disciple of Vyasadeva. Romaharshana Suta was taught by Vyasadeva about the Puranas, Itihasas, the fifth Veda. Like that. Who is Maitreya Rsi? How did he get enlightenment? Maitreya Rsi is one of the sages. He actually attained enlightenment by hearing from his guru. I don't have the immediate, wait a minute, I'll tell you. Who was his guru? There is a disciplic succession in which Maitreya Rsi appears. Maitreya Rsi speaks to Vidura, enlightens Vidura. Okay. The Srimad Bhagavatam was first spoken by Lord Sankarshana to Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara is one of the four Kumaras. And Sanat Kumara spoke this Bhagavatam, what he heard from Sankarshana, to one Sankhyayana Muni. And the Sankhyayana Muni spoke this Bhagavatam to Parashara. And Parashara taught this Bhagavatam to Maitreya Rsi. And Maitreya Rsi spoke this Bhagavatam to Vidura. So this Maitreya Rsi comes in this parampara, Kumara Sampradaya. We say Kumara Sampradaya, Kumara Vaishnava Sampradaya. Kumaras first heard the Bhagavatam from Lord Sankarshan. is it possible to do sense gratification in the spiritual world? Where does the desire to do sense gratification come from? How is this taken care in the spiritual world? Okay. In the spiritual world, we have our spiritual senses. We have our spiritual body. We have spiritual mind. Have means the soul has got all these faculties without separate parts. Unlike this material body, which is constructed by joining together different parts and interconnecting them in the womb of the mother. So it's a very complex process. But the spiritual spirit soul as a person, the spiritual person, personality, has got all the faculties perfectly working without any separate parts joined together. No separate parts are there. The faculties are all there in the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, everyone is naturally always blissful. Always blissful. The very quality of always being happy is the characteristic of spiritual existence. Whereas the material world, by nature, it is filled with miseries. There is no natural happiness. And one has to seek happiness all the time. And that also is available by some sense contact. Because our nature is to be happy always in the spiritual world, when we come to the material world, we also want to be always happy, but there's no happiness. So therefore we seek happiness. And the only way we can seek happiness is by sense gratification. That means we have to bring the senses in contact with sense objects, and that sensation that is produced, we think that that is happiness. So that is the defect of material existence. So I'll stop here. Remaining questions I'll answer next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.